Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in the Locher Room. I'm Ellen Locher, and I grew up watching As the World Turns and Guiding Light. I joined the PR department there in 1997 and remained working for both shows until they went off the air in 2009 and 10. As I was stuck here in quarantine, I realized that I was missing my friends and my Springfield family. So we have a great show for you today. We have a great group of friends and talented actors here with me. Let me start by introducing them all. Murray Bartlett, who played Cyrus Foley, Orlagh Cassidy, who played Doris Wolfe, Bonnie Dennison, who played Susan Lemay, Daisy Lemay, Jessica Leccia, Natalia Rivera, and Caitlin Van Zandt, Ashlee Wolfe. Let's say hello to everybody. Orlagh, Caitlin, Bonnie, Murray, and Jess. Hey, everybody. Hi. Thanks for joining me today. How's everyone holding up?
Good.
Really great.
I just got back from the beach, so I feel good.
We're healthy.
What did you say, Murray?
I said I just got back from the beach, so I feel pretty great.
Oh, okay. I gotta go.
Rub it
I
in.
cannot. I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't do this.
Rub it in. Caitlin and Bonnie have some new house guests, I guess, huh? Share with everybody. Bonnie has twins, and Caitlin has a little girl.
Yeah, I had twins in December, twin boys. Oh my God. Murray's face.
Oh, wait. Okay, so are we talking to me? Because I can't, like, it sounds like robots. It's like robots talking unrecognizable. I heard something about the girl. She's 10 months old. I'm guessing this is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Penelope, and she was born on the 4th of
July?
I'm going to take guesses.
Oh, Caitlin's having some internet trouble, I think.
Can I try and come back?
I guess she will.
Try and time. Bonnie, talk about your little boys.
Okay, yes. Oh God, I'll fill in for her. Yeah, we were born in December. Twins don't run in our family. Big surprise. But no, they're great. Their names are Artie and Louie. They're 5.5 months now. And they're, did I say that very tired? Yes, I'm very tired. But no, they're great. They're super sweet. They're out for a walk now with their dad. Got them out of here because they're loud. They're very loud. Yeah.
Overachiever, Bonnie.
They will continue to be loud, by the way.
Well,
Yeah.
you're not homeschooling like Jess is yet, right? So how's that going, Jess?
I hardly know what's happening. I don't know. I like poke my head in every now and then. My husband helps her with math because I can't. I'm not able. Literally not able. She's in 5th grade. I can't do it. No idea what she's talking about ever. I'm like, oh, I don't. Hey, and then I get my husband. I'm not what you call smart at all.
I don't buy that.
Not the sharpest tool. I don't even know how it goes. But I'm so happy to see you guys. I haven't seen Murray in forever. Bonnie, I still think of you as like a little baby. And now you have your own.
I know.
And Orlagh, I did see Orlagh. That was really nice. For a couple days, we worked together
That
recently.
was awesome.
Sweet.
What did you work on together?
What's that?
What did you work on together? Oh, was it Venice or Beacon?
Venice.
It was Venice.
Venice.
Hi, Caitlin.
Great. Caitlin's back.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Caitlin?
Hi. Of course this happened. Yeah, this happens to me. It was like, this is like my nightmare. I like couldn't sleep last night. I was like, something's going to go wrong technically. I know it. And I manifested that. So may that be a lesson to us all.
Well done.
well, now it's your turn to talk about Penelope.
Oh, sure. Yeah, she's the best. She was just the tech support. So that's Wi-Fi.
How old is she?
No, she's really good. She's 10 months old or just over that. And she still has no teeth. And she is, she just used to learn to use a straw. So that was a big day. And I think she's having like the best quarantine ever. She's thriving with all of the attention. She's the
great.
best. She's the coolest, and yeah, she's great.
Well, we don't know if you heard, but Murray just made us all jealous. He just got back from the beach.
And Alan just had to say it again.
I'm very jealous.
Where's everyone located right now?
Manhattan.
I'm
Not
yeah.
the beach.
I'm across the street from Orlagh.
Bonnie
I'm
and
in
Orlagh
LA in the Valley.
Yeah, I'm in
Valley.
I'm in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I moved up.
I love Cape Cod.
So do I. I moved up here, sort of experimented with moving up here about a year ago, and turns out it was a good choice.
Yeah.
But I just love it. So yeah, I mean, I go down to New York.
Well, I have friends there now with you, Murray. They're there. They just took their not there, but they just took their boat out today for the first time. So so you need to meet them because they have a boat. So do you all remember your first day at Guiding Light?
Very much, yeah.
Go ahead, Orlagh.
All right.
Yours made you chuckle.
I have to because I couldn't almost say the last line. In fact, I may have said really? So I was at ADA and Jerry Verdorn was DA. And I said a line that was like, this guy is never going to get out of jail or never get free. He's going to be something, and his chances are slim to none. And then the next line was, and Slim left town a long time ago.
Oh.
I could barely get it out. I was like, Slim left town a long time ago? Really? It was so much fun, but Jerry was awesome. That was my first day with Jerry. It was great.
That's a pretty good first partner.
Oh, he was the best. The best. And then a week
Bonnie,
later, I was DA, so I don't know. I think he had something to do with that.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of people on the show. I think Ivana said she was, going to med school, and then she was a doctor the next day, and then
Right.
the day after that, she was chief of staff. So,
Right. Right.
Anybody else remember their first?
I don't think I do. I can't remember my first day, but it might be because I was terrified because there was so many lines to learn, and I was like, I don't know how people do it on these shows. There's so many lines to learn, and a lot of the scenes are quite similar. So you just feel like you're in this weird kind of mess of words that it goes this way and the other scene it goes this way, but there's some lines that are the same, and my brain was just melting, and so it took me a while to get used to that. So I think I've blocked it out. And that was one of the things that was so amazing about the show for me, is getting used to that and realizing how kind of capable our brains are to kind of just, once you stop being terrified, the brain kind of absorbs things. But yeah, it took me a while to find that kind of a greater level of relaxation. Yeah. So,
Do you remember who your scene was with?
I remember really clearly my last audition for the show with Mandy, and I can't even remember what the scene was about, but I just remember we got really close and intimate, and it was just, we had this really lovely connection that just felt very kind of natural and real, very lovely. So that really made an impression. She really made an impression on me, and the connection that we made in that final audition. And then I remember Ellen coming up and giving me a big kiss on the cheek, and that made me feel really great. So yeah, weirdly, I remember my audition, but not my first day.
She gave you a kiss, but did she say you had it?
I was like, well, what is happening? I mean, you know, kiss is nice, but do I get the job?
Kind of a
Bonnie or
What's that?
Bonnie or Caitlin?
Oh, Caitlin.
Yeah, Caitlin had disappeared. Bonnie, do you remember your first?
I remember my screen test with Beth Ellers, and she was great. And then I think my first day was with, I think it was like I was holed up in a hotel with Grady or something because I'd run away from boarding school. I think that was like my first storyline. I was watching some old YouTube stuff before this actually because I have a terrible memory. I was like trying to jog it. And I did on that show. It was crazy. But yeah, I think my initial thing was I was in one of the hotel rooms with Grady. And I was just being a little brat. I was just a little brat for the first, I mean, maybe the whole time I was on the show, but I was just, Daisy was awful.
And that was your brother, right, Murray?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Kane. Jess, do you remember yours?
Oh, I remember my first day. Yeah, I was all by myself. I didn't. I was not. I didn't have a scene partner. It was just me, like walking around the apartment, and then I get a phone call from Daisy. It's basically like a phone call, and it was very, very quick. And she was like, "Is this Natalia Rivera?" Except Bonnie wasn't there. It's just a phone call. But I had like an accent.
So it was like Adam Rice, the stage manager, reading her part or something, right?
Yes.
Bonnie, as I remember.
What?
Adam does a great Bonnie.
Right, guys.
Yeah. It was riveting.
You did have an accent at first, but they nixed that. What happened with that?
I nixed that.
Awesome.
They asked for it, and I was like this, and they're like, yeah, that's good. And then like they gave me some backstory, and I was like, wait, I was born in Chicago? Like what? I thought I was doing a good job at phasing it out. I don't know. One day I was like, this is silly. I'm just gonna speak.
Caitlin, do you remember your first? Oh, Caitlin's I think having
Caitlin, move areas, like find some spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and text her while we're talking. Tell me, who or what was the biggest influence on you all becoming actors? Go ahead. Who's going first?
I would just say an inordinate amount of time watching movies and TV. That's what did it for me. I didn't have any profound moments or anything. But it was just really what I was interested in from day one, just playing imagination. I used to direct a lot of my friends. No desire to be a director since then, but yeah, that was pretty much it.
Do you direct your daughters? Do they direct you?
Oh, I direct my daughters. So much directing happening.
Orlagh, what about you?
I actually do have a specific woman who she ran this children's theater at Trinity Theater in DC. And I had really, really thick glasses when I was little. And it was for, I don't know, Snow White or Alice in Wonderland. And all these little girls were auditioning, and like no one had these thick glasses like me. And I was like, I'm never going to get in the play. And she made up a part for me. She made up Alice's pantomime cat. So I just like did all these like gymnastics and acting out everything. And I know, God knows I was probably upstaging poor Alice the entire show. But, you know, she just was, and she was brilliant with us. She treated us like professional actors. I was like 9, and we would take that little play, the script, cut it, put it on a loose leaf, each page. And then she taught us down left, right left, down center. I mean, I got like an education in theater at 9. So that left a very strong mark.
Murray?
Yeah, I mean, as I got older, I was very inspired by a lot of actors, and I used to watch a lot of films when I was a teenager. There was this amazing independent film, this independent film cinema, I guess, near where I lived, and so I used to go and by myself a lot and watch those films. These sort of obscure films that they used to get. It was amazing. But I have been lucky as well to have just amazing teachers that have, and that's sort of where it started. Or actually, I have, there's a weird story of how I started acting. My brother and I were out in the street one day, and he found this spider, and it was sitting on a rock, and he was going to kill it with a hammer. And I got behind him, and he went like that and knocked my 2 front teeth out. And then, 6 weeks later, I was spinning around in our basement with a concrete floor in a blanket and tripped over and knocked out these 2 front teeth. I mean, these 2, front teeth, the bottom one. And this was when I was really young, so I didn't have these 4 teeth. But they're what should be the cutest period of, the photos that you have as a kid. I've got 4 missing teeth. So I used to say F. My name's Murray. So my mum and my teeth grew back. My adult teeth grew in. My mum took me to this amazing speech therapist who taught me how to say S. And then I just continued. I loved it so much because she would get me reading poems and monologues. And she was just this incredible woman who was so loved what she did and seemed to really take a shine to me. And so I ended up staying with her for years doing speech prizes and things like that. And just fell in love with doing this stuff through her being in love with poetry and monologues and all this kind of stuff. So that's sort of what got me started.
Almost traumatic. A traumatic story.
I love that one of the most gorgeous people I've ever met physically or mentally, emotionally, has you had to literally knock out that's your sad story is you were toothless. I was a strapping young lad of 7 without my front teeth. Poor me.
Your brother was going to kill a spider with a hammer?
Yeah, I mean, we were very young. I was
It was Australia. I mean,
it was
That's how they do it.
We were on the street. There was a spider on a rock. There was a circle of kids from our street around it. I was right behind him. It was quite sort of dramatic. We had an audience. A lot of blood. It was very memorable.
Very dramatic. Caitlin, now that you're back and you're looking good there.
Guys, thanks. Yeah, that was the worst 5 minutes, the longest 5 minutes of my life. It's I do nothing. This is the one thing I get to do. Yeah, that's what you get
Your
for
first day.
Oh, my first day. Yeah. It was. My first scene was with M, was with Marcy, and I was so nervous and. I remember I had the script on set, the script with me. I kept looking at it and I was saying instead of the and beating myself up, whipping myself. And Marcy was it's okay. I was what? No, the script supervisor, people are coming by to correct me on these things. And she's that's not a thing here. I was okay. And then almost instantly, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson showed up on set. And was I was shooting this thing down the hall. I used to watch the show with my grandmother. And I was I have this gig where celebrities stop by and love us. This is the best day of my life. Then no one ever came to set ever again. It was the only celebrity ever. And he was just
I never heard that.
Yeah, he was shooting at BET. Like he was like guiding light. He was like with like a couple of his people. Like there was no like PR this was not like set up at all. And I was just like, this is going to be a really awesome job. You know what I mean? I was like, this is going to be. But yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, everyone. I was just nervous. I think that's kind of how it goes. And I think I had like 15 pages or something, not much. It was good.
Still a lot to a lot of people. 15 still a lot to a lot of people.
Exactly, particularly when you're trying to do it verbatim, you know.
Sandra just wrote Coop and Ashlee forever.
Oh, thanks, Sandra. Yeah, Coop. Yeah.
Coop. Bonnie and Caitlin, who or what was the biggest influence on you becoming actors?
Well, actually, so I got my start on Reading Rainbow when I was like a kid.
I've seen it. It's so good. It's so good, guys.
Oh, gotta see that.
Real talk, they don't let you actually review the books. They tell you what to say. So,
Spoiler.
Yeah. But,
Spoiler alert.
So I was a kid actor, and so it wasn't until I was sort of, I'd say around 16 or so, when I actually came to and realized what it was I was doing, and sort of made the active choice to act. And I think the biggest influence on me was actually the acting coach who recently passed away, who was a soap director, Peter Miner. And he did a lot of, I think he started, I'm blanking on which soap it was. It wasn't Guiding Light. But that's how he got his start. He's directing soaps. And yeah, he was awesome. I took his class just over and over and over again. And he was great. He taught at T. Schreiber Studios, which is a cool place in New York. And yeah, he was just this amazing guy who he had a macular degeneration. So he couldn't see very well, except for out of like his peripheral vision was better than his frontal vision. So he would watch your scene like this, and he gave the best notes, even though he could not see most of what was happening. And every note was in the form of a question, which is just so impressive because it's hard enough to give notes as a director, but he would just craft everything perfectly. And yeah, he was awesome. And so I think that was my guy.
Caitlin?
Yeah, well, I sort of grew up in the theater. My mom was a wardrobe supervisor at Radio City Music Hall. So like my playpen was like in her office sort of thing, and like tap shoes on my feet sort of thing. And I went to an acting camp called Stage Door, which is now since blown up and been a huge thing. And I went to the Fame High School, LaGuardia. I don't know. I was just one of those kids that just, we lived and we breathed theater. Thank God, like Hamilton came later. Otherwise, I feel like I would have been that kid, you know. Nothing wrong with Hamilton. Sorry. But yeah, no, I don't know what really set me off. But it seemed like all I really liked doing. So I stuck with it for
growing up in that world. It's like osmosis.
I feel like I remember. You have a picture of you in your dressing room where you're wearing like a spangly red outfit and like little bangs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it just seemed very right.
Yeah. I mean, my mom would be like, the joke would be like marine biologist or whatever, and it was never. You know, I think it was that good combination of like being an attention seeker and feeling slightly insecure and like pretending to be other people. That really, and it's just like, you know, it was just such a fun way to grow up. And we went to a lot of Broadway. I saw everything. I saw Blue Room, which was like full frontal nudity, Nicole Kidman, all these people back in the day. I think I was 9. Like I was definitely brought up in the theater is what I'm trying to say.
Jess, that was a pretty good memory there, girl. Over 10 years ago to remember what's on her.
Like a steel trap. I honestly can't remember anything else though.
I remember the dressing rooms better than probably anything.
Yeah, like you're giving me storylines and I'm like, oh yeah, Grady.
Oh, Grady.
I just remembered when Caitlin was talking that I once was in court with Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran was the lawyer on the other side.
We had Johnny Cochran there, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's insanity.
How was he
Yeah,
good? How
yeah.
was his acting?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know. I just like, wow. It's just one of those images just went across my mind. Like, wow, that was a day of work.
Did we have
And
Mr. Clean? Did Mr. Clean come on the show?
Yes, he did. He
Okay.
had a scene. He had a couple of scenes with Justin Dees, and I think what was written was that he was a hallucination. I could be wrong,
It's hilarious.
but it was like
Well-
Justin being very serious, playing opposite Mr. Clean.
let's remember who owned our show. Procter & Gamble owned our show, which owned Mr. Clean. Bonnie, Peter Miner, you said, right?
Yeah, I just saw Kim
Yeah.
Armstrong, who was a
Yeah, for fans, yeah. Rachel Miner, who played Michelle Bauer, that's her dad.
yes.
Oh wow.
She was one of our original Michelle Bauers.
Yeah, she's great. She's a great actress.
Yeah, she definitely. Have you thought about, I mean, you're all currently working actors. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't doing this? Is there some other career path you have thought of that you would?
Crying.
Well, I went back to
Besides motherhood. 3 of you are mothers. 4 of you are mothers, sorry.
well, I'm kind of on the career path to nursing. I went back to school and got all of my credits that I avoided when I got my degree the first time, like microbiology, you know, trips off the tongue. Oh, I know.
That's amazing today for you guys.
Hair.
You put her in hair and makeup for us? Caitlin, bravo to you.
Oh yeah,
That's
so I
great.
mean, I guess that's what I hypothetically would be doing, if not acting.
So sorry about that.
But I have in the meantime. I was a manager at like a art house movie theater, which like no one. So I just kind of like got a day job nearby just to like get myself out of the house. And I didn't tell anyone my background, and I'm married. I have a new last name and all of that. So except I was working at the box office, and this woman walks up, and my boss was behind me, a bunch of staff around. And she like wouldn't leave. I was like, "Oh, one for this. Here you go." And she was like, "I know you." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Are you from here?" I'm like, "No." And I live in LA now. And she was like, "Ashlee." And she like this woman, this patron blew my cover. And then once they were like Ashlee soap operas, like I was very vague, and then everyone knew, and then knew my last name, and I don't know, like it was just a very funny. Still, people like can't always place me, like why? But sometimes people just straight up know. It's very funny and nice to meet people, you know.
Anybody else?
I feel like it's the sort of thing that you think about when you're in quarantine, because you're like, maybe I'll never get another job, so I should think about what I do. I wasn't acting. Seeing as things have sort of, you know, gone
Halted a little?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I go every like 4 or 5 years, I'll have a freak out and think, I don't know whether I want to do this anymore, or I haven't worked for a while, so that it triggers a freak out, and then I'll do something kind of dramatic, like go traveling for 4 months, or like go live somewhere else or something, and then usually like when I'm away, I'll get an audition for something and get a job, and then and in the meantime have gotten perspective, on the fact that I'm incredibly lucky and fortunate in my life, and why am I whining? And I come back to it. So I guess I've been fortunate enough to keep stringing it along. Not always. I've had other jobs, obviously, along the way, but yeah. So I gave up on thinking of other things that I would do. I guess I'll just deal with that if and when it happens.
Okay.
But I did make the decision to leave the city, and that was tricky because I felt like part of being an actor is you feel like you always want to be available, I really wanted to be closer to nature and not live in a big city anymore. And so that was kind of tricky. And so I've thought about that a lot, but it's managed to actually work very smoothly. And now that we're in this pandemic period and people realize that you can kind of be anywhere and do all sorts of things from home, including audition, I feel like it's going to work out.
Well, and you can see each other, and you definitely picked a perfect spot to be quarantined. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, you know. I mean, you know, if you're thinking about leaving the city and then you do it just before this, you must really, you know, there must be like this huge weight lifted in some respect.
I mean, it's very bizarre, strange kind of split feeling, because I have, you know, a lot of my friends in the city and people who are really struggling through this and on many levels. And I, you know, in the first couple of weeks, personally, just for my own story, just felt so incredibly fortunate and grateful to be where I am, and you know, made some choices in the last year or so to kind of direct my life in a sort of a different way. And I am truly experiencing a consistent feeling of gratefulness at the moment. I feel very, very good.
And Orlagh, just before this, you just got back from the Chicago, didn't you, playing Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I'm really glad I got to. If I had done all that work and then couldn't do it, that would have been horrible. I keep thinking about all those Broadway shows that were. I mean, the producer of the play that I did in Chicago had his hand in 6 different Broadway shows at the time that everything closed. I mean,
well, Sarah Jessica and Matthew Broderick were literally, I think it was the night before opening that.
Yeah. So the idea, like, you'd get to that and then like.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful I got Chicago in. That I was actually getting ready to do a 1-person show that I had written. And then I just got this call. Are you free to go to Chicago to play Nancy Pelosi in a 1-woman play? And this was like right when she did, it was the day that she did the Don't Mess With Me to reporters.
Yeah.
And I said to my husband, but honey, everything keeps like getting in the way of my show. I got to do my work. And he looked at the people involved who were all like Broadway people. And he was like, I think you should rethink that. And so I said yes. And I went to Chicago and I had a blast. It was terrifying. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever done, to do 80 minutes on stage as someone I'm totally not. And she's 79, who was in the news every day. It was like during the impeachment. I mean, it was a wild, wild ride, but I'm certainly glad I got to do it, and very grateful now that I got to do it.
Did you ever meet?
Did I ever meet Nancy?
Yeah.
No, but her, one of it was a co-directing team, Connor Bagley and Heather Armson, and Connor basically grew up with Nancy Pelosi as kind of his aunt, and his mom is very, very close with Nancy. So his mom came and she said that she really liked what she saw, blah, blah. But so that was nice.
Good job, Orlagh.
I mean, it was supposed to, it was supposed to go to DC and then maybe New York.
Wow.
But I don't think that's not happening now. And now I think they're exploring Audible and other ways to do it, I guess. But it was a wild ride. I mean, I just was glad that I didn't fall on my face every night. I was literally having a panic attack every night before I went on stage.
Wow.
It's like skiing, because like once I came out and I had this awesome white suit, the best thing about, I think, the whole performance was the white suit that I wore, because it just was her. It was this great white suit. And, but it was like going out skiing, because once you got out, whatever happened, happened. And I was responding. It was an Instagram live chat. So I was responding to Instagram messages on the wall that weren't on the wall, by the way. So I had to learn those cues and respond, but I was looking at it, nothing. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. But
wow.
How much?
Well, hopefully. Go ahead, Murray.
How much rehearsal did you have?
Not enough. And it was happening. I got it at Christmas, like I think on December 22nd. And we were doing all this script work, and yeah, so a couple weeks,
Oh.
but
A little more than you got at Guiding Light.
yeah. Well, they all thought, right? They were like, well, all her soap experience, she's so good at learning lines. And I was like, at the end of it, actually, on the closing night, I was talking to the producer and I was like, hey, listen, if we do this again, the Instagram messages on the wall would be really great. And they were like, but you did it so well. You're so good. And we just figured because of the soap, you knew how to. I was like, yeah, I was terrified every night.
Wow.
But the soap was excellent training. I mean, I think everybody would attest to that. Like the soap was such good training for like the camera's on and something's going to come out and I'm going to sell it. So
well,
it was
also
good.
for you played a, district attorney. I mean, you had probably more lines than the other four because of that and defending, various characters on the show. You had much
It
more
is very
dialogue.
funny. When
in
I
some
do-
respects.
When I was doing a lot of those things, I had it on my pad if I needed it, right? But then I'd watch the show if I ever saw it, and I'd be like, I would have monologues of like who did what, and it was on everybody else going, it's like everybody's reaction shot, and I'm talking. It's very funny.
That's great. Caitlin, tell us what it was like having Orlagh as your mom and what you learned,
I mean, she's like, you are truly like, I knew that I was in capable hands. Like, I knew right at the beginning, I was like, oh, just do what she does. Like, she's gonna, like, particularly right in the beginning, it was like, you were like the wolf mom and like, I was like the cub and, there was a lot of that. So it was quite easy to, I trusted you. I still do, of course. And also there's something really liberating in not being the crazy one in a scene. Like when you're just like, but mom, da, 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 and you're like, eyebrow, I liked that a lot.
That time in the wedding when you shot Alan, and then we were coming into some scene, and I think the line was like, something like, say nothing to no one, or something like it was some like
I forgot you shot Alan.
Well,
Yeah.
my kids came to visit me that day. They were like 4 and 6, and we had done it for so many days that I forgot that I was in a wedding dress covered in blood. So my kids come and I'm like, "Hi guys!" And they were terrified. They were terrified. And then the 4-year-old, I remember like a week later at home, the way they process things, he goes, so if you're married to Dad
Aw.
and you're married to Alan Spaulding, how does that work? It was very funny.
You've got a future therapy bill to pay for.
Many.
Wow. And also you, Bonnie, I mean, Beth Ehlers as your mom and Justin Dees as your granddad. Talk about what that was like.
I mean, so good. I was just, like I said, I was just watching YouTube clips to remember my own life. And and I was like, man,
it is amazing though, isn't it? You can find everything.
Everything. Thank God, or else they'd be all lost. But Beth Ehlers was the best. I just loved her. Like I was just remembering, she was so natural, so grounded. She was awesome to watch. Justin Dees was great. Kim Zimmer was I had the best grandparents. I had Kim Zimmer was a grandma. Justin Dees. I had a great.
All right, I forgot. Dylan was your dad. I totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, because I was adopted, so I had all sorts of. I was everyone's daughter and granddaughter. It was great.
You were product of a teenage pregnancy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dylan and
Harley.
And Harley. Yeah. Dylan and Harley. I remember nothing. I'm not kidding. I remember.
She has a really bad memory in
You had your
general.
own teenage pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had the
Good.
The mother of the son who got you pregnant remembers.
Yeah. You were really upset about it. That was like the most intense storyline, but also the shortest, because I think, you know, the producers and writers knew that like it wouldn't land great with all the audience, so they got through it pretty quick.
I hated that storyline because poor Bonnie's like crying. She's crumpled. She's like feeling all the feelings, and I'm just like me. It was horrible. I was like, oh, I hate these scenes. And then Kim Zimmer came out, like the only scene I ever had with her, just eviscerated me, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh, I hate this. Awful.
I need to go look for that at the end of this.
Yeah, she was just, I was always impressed with they did the countdown, you know, they don't say action, they say 3, 2 and whatever, and she would go from joking around to just like bawling, and it would genuine. There was no tricks with her. She would just, she had emotion right here all the time.
Jaw dropping. I mean, I just remember being like, because she would joke 3, 2, 1, she'd be like, I can't believe you.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes with her was I was getting the schmuck and she was like right there. She was the character who Daisy chose to come with her, and yeah, she was just so great. I loved her.
And Murray, you worked with Beth and Mandy, and as Adam says, he loved Cyrus and Alexandra. I mean, you had some great leading ladies as well.
Oh my God, yeah, that storyline. Marge, to say.
Marge.
Yeah, she's such a wonderful woman. I mean, it was so trippy working with Marge because she is such a legend, was such a legend. And when she was coming on the show, I knew of her, but I didn't know very much about her. So I watched some of the things that she did as a younger woman, and she was phenomenal. And we had to kiss a few times, and she did not hold back. She was really, which was fine by me, but I was not expecting it. I was like, oh, she's from a different time. They're probably like, that very tight, closed mouth. But she was so loving and lovely and just wonderful to work with. And such a sort of a spitfire in a lot of ways. She was amazing. And yeah, Mandy, as I said before, we had this really wonderful connection. I mean, our storyline sort of like drifted, but she was a wonderful sort of anchor in the beginning. Had such a lovely sort of chemistry. And then Beth Ehlers, I just absolutely adored working with. She was such a great guide in that world, I guess, because I'd never worked on a soap before, and it was, there was things about the speed of it that I found really challenging, and she was just a great kind of leveler in any sort of anxiety or kind of like freak out I was having about like just the amount of material or just wanting it to be great when you're going so fast, and sometimes you just don't have time to make it as great as you want it to be. And I found that really, I came in such a perfectionist with my attitude towards my work, was so a lot of perfectionism, and I came out being like able to let go because you have, and she really taught me that she was, she said once to me when I was like freaking out, like I'd done some scene and I was feeling really bad, and she said, what did she say? It's never as good as you want it to be, but it's never as bad as you think it is, or something like that.
That's very good.
Which was great from her. She was so brilliant, and so she would like knock it out of the park, and I was there like, oh, like trying to start me strong. But she was just, she was awesome to work with.
So interesting fact. I did a show last week with Ivana and Lawrence, and we were reliving your fire hose scene first of all with Lawrence. You two in your boxer shorts, and Ivana coming upon that. She was like, my brother, why am I here? But the interesting thing is you and Ivana had the last naked scene on Guiding Light. The last two characters to be naked.
I still grieve the fact that we didn't get a chance to explore on-screen relationship more because I just adore her and we had such a lovely time together, but we didn't get much of a chance to kind of take it too far.
A little hint. Do you remember who thought of putting you two together?
No.
Me and Jill.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just having a conversation one day and just Jill then I think took it to Ellen or something. Yeah, it was
such a great
loved you guys together. Yeah. And the reason I wanted to get you all, because you guys were all, all close friends. You all loved each other. I mean, Jess and Murray didn't work much together, right? And you guys really hit it off. And Bonnie and Caitlin, you guys rode off until the end of the show in the back of Zach's car.
Yeah. Ride or die.
Golden age.
Bonnie, like yesterday? I don't know. It's all one day now. Sent me a photo, like I think it was a PR shot of us from Juvie, and I was like, the haircut, the weight, the the pajamas, like the imprisonment, all feels all too familiar now. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought about that too. I was like, I don't really think I worked with Jess at all, and she's like the best person in the world. Like, I had so many friends that it had nothing to do with who we had to run lines with before getting downstairs or before going out in PPAC or whatever. It was just a really good group of people. I miss you all very, very much.
I forgot how freaking funny you all are. I mean, like, everybody's so funny. Like, every one of you makes me laugh so hard. So good.
I didn't know how funny you are, Orlagh. When you started wearing,
I could see Jess's wheels were turning. She was coming up with a story right now. Go ahead.
Right, it's because I didn't really. I didn't work with. I mean, Bonnie, we hit and miss sometimes because of our relationship on the show. But I never worked with Caitlin. I never worked with Murray. I mean, we had like a scene maybe once where I was like, oh my God, I'm so working with Murray. Oh, I sure did. And then I never ever worked with Orlagh, and then all of a sudden Orlagh kind of was in like this. We were like a trio of lesbians walking around.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about the gay storyline for Orlagh. I totally forgot. Oh my gosh.
Hat when you were.
I was trying to find a hat to put on, but I couldn't find a fedora in my apartment. But I was trying to find one.
I always laughed so hard because it was always such a thing when Doris was like skulking around the gay bars.
Yeah. On ladies' night, as you do. Yeah.
It was so good. It's so good.
And Murray and I did a film together after, like, a while ago. When I don't know when that was, Murray. I forget now, but it was the most awesome 2 weeks ever. Shooting in the Hamptons. And then it became like a thing, and then it was like in the movie theaters for a minute, and then it's on. Somebody I know saw it on a plane, and I was like, "What?"
What movies? So if fans are looking, what movie?
Beach House. It's called
Beach House. Okay.
But yeah,
Murray is amazing.
It was such a lovely. Thank you. It was such a lovely experience because we got to reconnect, and they put us in this house in the Hamptons for like 2 weeks.
So good.
And it was a really gorgeous experience, and just reminded me how, it was such a lovely group of people that we had on Guiding Light, and that was a moment where I was like, oh my God, I adore Orlagh, and like it just reminded me of those great relationships that were forged in that time. It was so, just as you were saying all that stuff, Jess, I'm just remembering like walking in the hallways between makeup and our dressing rooms and just like getting stuck for like, an hour talking in the hallway, like just
chatting. Yeah.
Like, it was a really, really, really joyful time. I just had such a great time.
Well, Orlagh, I want to get back to the lesbian in a minute, but a little birdie told me a story about you and Jess that everyone basically at the show loved the two of you so much that they used to go to the writers and pitch ideas all the time, other actors on the show who all wanted to work with the two of you. Did you feel that love from the cast? Wow. Jess looks stunned. Yeah, you and all. Yeah, the two of you. She's like,
I think to get fired every day. Every day I'm like, today's the day I get fired. They're on to me. No.
That's so funny.
they know
That
I'm
is
not
so
Jessica.
funny.
They know I'm not Jessica. Yeah. So
Well, I just remember, I mean, I played such a small role for so many years. I just every couple of weeks I'd come on and do my little lawyer thing. But I mean, I will never forget. I got pretty used to just reading the scripts the night before or whatever when I come. And it was all lawyer stuff. And then I'm reading the script and I have my tea. I just will never forget it. I have my tea, I'm drinking and I'm reading my script. And there's this argument about this girl. And then the next line is, she's my daughter. What? I have a 17-year-old daughter? What? That was amazing. So it was kind of always amazing that the writers could, if they honed in on you, just sort of go like, hey, how about this? I mean, when that lesbian storyline thing happened, nobody talked to me, and I just got those scripts, and I was in the hall the next day, and Ellen saw me, and she goes, hey, did you get your scripts? I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, we were going to talk to you, but then I figured, it's Orlagh. Let's just give it to her. Good times. I mean, as Murray was talking, I mean, I got kind of, it just wrenched my heart a little bit. Like, it was such an abundant time that I think I took for granted a little bit. Like, just, it was really abundant to go to a place where everybody was working and busy and lively, and people were so good and funny and good at what they do. Even like the crew, like whenever I see anybody on any primetime set that was makeup, I mean, we're like long lost cousins when I see people. I'm like, oh, no, it's just, it was such a great place to work.
It really was.
you pick up where you wouldn't think that we all haven't seen each other in 10 years, really, when you know.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling. Caitlin, you got to do some great stuff on the show, comedy, the serious stuff. You had your real life.
I mean, none of it was meant to be funny. That was vice versa. It was never. But yeah, keep going.
Yes. But no, I mean, you got to do comedy with Liz Kiefer, I think, right?
Yeah.
You and Liz.
I was a lot of people's henchmen, and it was good.
And then you had your real life, the lap band surgery written into the show.
Oh, that's right.
They didn't follow through completely.
No, like Alan was so kind. He's like, "Can we talk about the weight loss surgery stuff?" And yesterday, I was like, "Thank you. I'm an open book. How long you got?" No. I mean, I guess it was. I have, for anyone that's like actually interested, I ended up having my lap band removed because Murray tried to warn me. This is the kind of Murray. This is the kind of man Murray is. He saw how little I was eating and how quickly I was losing weight and stuff. And he bought me a blender and do you remember this? You gave me recipes and things on how to be healthy. And I was like, no, I'm going to eat a pint of frozen yogurt instead for dinner. But thank you for your offer of a fancy blender. A really thoughtful person, this one. But yeah, so I've since had it removed and gained some weight back. I had a baby, mom bod, all that. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting thing. I didn't start off with a contract. I don't think Ashlee was meant to. I think I was to facilitate a story with Stephanie and Tom, and why do I feel like they were pregnant? Or I know what it was. It was like Em was pretending to be pregnant, and I worked at the clinic.
Yeah, she was pretending to have Jonathan's baby.
Right, mm-hmm. as we all have, So. But yeah, so I think I was just kind of whatever, and then they found the Orlagh thing, the mom thing, and to this day, best job I've ever had. But yeah, so I was happy to represent a very non-typical daytime person. I think that's actually what the breakdown for the character said. They're like, Ashlee, not typical daytime. Glasses? That's literally, it was like glasses ? So it was like me and more hot girls in glasses sitting in the waiting area to see Rob DeCina. One of whom I know. And then the callback, and I'm like, oh, it's my friend Dana, who's now gone on to be a big Broadway star. So I don't feel too badly about it. But she was a hot girl in glasses, not real, not even prescription. And we were eating afterwards, like after our callback, and I got a call that I got it. I was like, so I got it, but it won't last. So anyway, lap band stuff. I'm like this. I like don't talk to anyone. So this is it for me, guys. And all of the people that are like, you haven't aged a day. I'm like, thank you.
You haven't.
You haven't.
My heart has.
No, you haven't. You get ready for when Penelope starts talking your ear off.
I know. I'm ready.
I can't believe my baby has a baby. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I know you're like a grand Doris. Yeah, it was cool to share. It was cool to share lap band stuff because it was what I was going through. I wish that we had explored stuff more in depthly, but I feel that way about several storylines, mine and others. But then again, I'm not a writer, and I don't really know how to. I tell the jokes. I don't write them.
You don't tell them or write them, exactly.
No.
Murray, can you talk about the experience of looking and Tales of the City? I mean, you get to do an ensemble piece up in San Francisco that was 2 or 3 seasons, 2 seasons, and the movie Looking?
We had 2 seasons and a movie to finish it, yeah.
And then you got to go back and do Tales of the City. I mean, I loved Looking. I loved Tales of the City. And speaking of Tom Pelfrey, Tom gets to play Laura's brother, and you get to play her best friend. I mean, not bad for our Guiding Light family. That's pretty darn good.
Have you seen him in season 3 of Ozark? He is unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
He's incredible. I mean, that's like an Oscar-winning performance if you could win an Oscar for TV.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's Grammy, isn't it? Yep. It's yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah, I got really lucky. I mean, there's definitely time in between those jobs, but I had experiences on both of those shows. I mean, Looking especially because it was over 3 years. I had the experience of being with this really wonderful group of people working on a show that we absolutely loved and really believed in. And, even if there were times when it was, people weren't loving it or we wanted it to be better at times or whatever, but we just we were so committed to it and we just had such a fantastic time making it. And plus, with Looking, we were working in San Francisco, which is such a wonderful city. I love it. We were there in the best time of year, it was August to November or something, and it's their summer. So it was just this dreamy experience working on something that I felt like was aligned with things that I kind of believe in, and working with people who I really admire, really great creative people. And it was another one of those shows where at the end of it you're like, oh my God, what is gonna top this as an experience? Because I made lifelong friends and I had this it was a real, those 3 jobs actually. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have jobs that I really liked all along the way through my life, and some that have been a little more challenging. but having the experience of just that, knowing that your work can be really joyful, that Looking was just pure joy all the time. I think all of us on that show at the end were like, wow, that was a unique experience. Will we ever be able to find that again? We were kind of devastated when it ended because, it was so great. And one of the things that made it great was, it's a story centered around these LGBTQ characters. And so we get messages from people in parts of the world that are not able to live openly or, you know, even tell someone that they're gay or whatever. And just so thankful that there was a show like that that existed, and telling their stories, and, you know, like, just amazing kind of responses to the show that made us feel like we were putting something out in the world that was reaching people and helping some people in some ways, or like maybe sort of opening people's minds in some ways. And so it was an amazing experience. And then I got to do Tales of the City, kind of revisit to San Francisco, and another kind of joyful experience with this extraordinary group of actors. We had to do scenes with Laura Linney, who is like one of my heroes, you know, and I was a big fan of Tales of the City in the first few seasons, so I kind of recognized her as that character of Marianne, and then I'm like on set doing scenes with her, and it was mind-blowing, and another kind of, you know, joyful experience for me, just being able to step into that world, a world that I love so much, and you know, and having Armistead Maupin, the writer of those amazing books, on set sometimes, and he's also another one of my heroes. So I you know, there were a couple of years between those shows where I wasn't working constantly, and there was, you know, it was a bit of a roller coaster at times, but I just count myself so lucky to have had those really joyful work experiences.
I was a big fan of the original, and you were a perfect mouse to step in there.
Thanks.
It was fun seeing somebody I know in a piece that I love so much too. You know, that's fun.
So you can imagine how it was to like step into that when I love.
Yeah, I can't even. Yeah,
it was daunting because you're like, oh my god, I have to play this character now. But kind of.
Well, that's what's been so funny about doing some of these. Like I did a show with M and Cynthia Wachos, who was also on Guiding Light, and they both were big Guiding Light fans, as was Liz Kiefer before coming to the show. You know, and then they're stepping into those roles in Springfield. And for them, it was that kind of, you know, freak out as well, like Cynthia working opposite, you know, Kim as Riva, you know, all of that. And Caitlin, what were you going to say, Orlagh?
Oh, just that you reminded me that when I graduated from acting school and I moved to the city, my roommate was Sherry Stringfield, and we were roommates in college, and we both had restaurant jobs. I lied and said I could wait tables, and I couldn't, and I was miserable. They didn't hire me. She did. She went to TGIFs, and she came home, and she was like decorating hats, and she was just like, I hate this. And one day I came home, and she was there already, and I said, why aren't you at work? And she said, I quit. I told them I got a TV job, and I was like, wow, that is ballsy. Oh my God, how are we going to pay the rent? How are we going to pay the rent? I'm like, what? And the next week, she books Blake on Guiding Light. Like, and the best part was that she didn't get paid. You know, when you're young and you're new, your first job, you're going to make a lot of money, but you don't have money. So, like, on my, like, tips, counting my ones, I'm, like, supporting us. She's like, can you get me breakfast again? And she's like, got on Guiding Light, like, this 3-year contract. It was hilarious. So my introduction to Guiding Light was coming to visit her on set in, I don't know, 90? You know what it was?
I totally forgot you were roommates. That's crazy. But Caitlin, I was going to say, I was very late to coming to The Sopranos. I think I just watched it last year for the first time. What was that experience? You played Johnny Sack's daughter.
I did, yeah.
So good.
Talk about a well-written, show that just kept pulling me. I think I've not binged a show faster than The Sopranos, I think, because of the cast and the writing.
Yeah, it's one of those like surreal experiences that I remember so much of it. I don't know, like details, like what I ate, like on set, like really creepy. It's really creepy. But yeah, no, I went in for Georgianne Walken is Christopher Walken's wife, and they're very similar. And I don't know if this is still true, you guys, because you guys would know better than me, working New York actors. She was a casting director, and I went in for The Sopranos, and it was I was 19 years old, and it was like mid-20s, Italian, you know, you look at me, you think Italian, of course. So I just walked in, I was just like, I'm not getting this and whatever. And actually it was one of the first auditions I've ever had where she was like, oh, we're not recording till you're ready. Like we'll work through this all day. I was probably in there half an hour, put it on tape, heard nothing, expected nothing, because I wasn't a 20-something Italian girl. And then like 3 weeks later, I get a call saying, Steve Buscemi's directing this episode and he wants you to come in and do it again. I was like, okay, how is this not cast? Are they like shooting this next week? It's like, what's going on? And so it was probably the highest compliment I think I was ever paid. It's like, he said, you were the only girl that I genuinely like felt bad for. Like everyone else seemed like a whiny brat. And I was like, thank you. Tell my mom that, because she can't stand on that.
I'm so sorry, my babies have gotten home and I need to be a mom now.
You too, double baby.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I was just going to ask, how has motherhood changed your life? Well, there you go.
I'm on demand constantly. So
thanks for doing this, Bonnie.
Appreciate it. Love you, Bonnie.
Thank you so much. You're so good to connect. I love you and miss you, and thank you for writing. I you. Bye.
She's my girl. She's my girl. My best friend. Ride or die.
Which I love that came out of Guiding Light. I mean, that's right. I mean, I just love that.
If
you go from the moment you met,
that's not true. It was Helen, the makeup artist, are like my
Helen
personal
Gallagher.
Guardian angel. I didn't like her. I didn't like Bonnie very much at all. This is not telling tales out of school.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Oh, we did not like each other. I was like, she had the energy that she thought she was too good for the place, and I already had all the friends. So you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm going to Atlantic City with them and Pelfrey. Like we're gonna go party. I had all the friends already, so I was like, who's this girl? And it really, that's exactly. I was like, she thinks she is hot stuff. So it wasn't until the makeup artist was like, have you talked with Bonnie? And I was like, we've had scenes, like whatever. And she said the same thing. And she's like, guys, I have to deal with you so much while painting your faces. You're gonna love each other. And now it's the, you know. She's the love of my life. She introduced me to her sister, who is like the second love of my life. So I'm lucky. I'm very lucky.
So great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, may Helen rest in peace. I mean, that is a beautiful Helen story I love that. That is something.
Helen's chair was a very special place.
Yeah. She was a popular place there. Hey, Orlagh, I read a little thing in a bio that we had from Guiding Light. Are you writing or have you finished a memoir that you were working on?
Actually, I have written it, and I was about to do it in a festival as a one-person show, and then I got that Nancy Pelosi thing, so I did that. And well, now there's a pandemic, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to write more, so maybe it might actually turn into a book. But it was trying to be a show because I was like, I'm a storyteller. I'll just tell the story. But now I may have more time to write, so maybe I'll write more.
And speaking of books, don't you have one to hold up?
Oh, the book before?
Yeah.
That book?
Her husband's book.
So my husband just likes to do a little research on healthy things and whatever. And I used it to hold my camera up. That's the book. I just love the title. I just love the title. I see it on the shelf. I'm like, How Not to Die. That's good. That's a good book.
But, Caitlin, going back
it's
to
about
your story
a plant-based
about Murray.
diet, I'm pretty sure.
I remember Murray, always had his healthy shakes and his healthy
I've
food.
never it was like some sort of weird, like watching Murray eat, particularly in PPAC, like standing in Ashlee's bedroom, like in our PPAC house, like out would come like the rice cakes and he'd be like scooping out full avocados and like smushing and then like a nut butter, not peanut, but like a nut butter. Like it was just like, and it's always eating. Like I feel like apples were just in like every
every costume pocket. Like you just I mean, I loved it. I've never seen anyone take such good care or smell so good. I love you. I love you, Mary.
We were all fangirls.
I have a fragrance line now, actually, so I can send you some.
Thank you.
He can teach us all a lot about eating healthy. Murray had said about fans, of looking and how that touched lives. But I know, telling stories on Guiding Light, Caitlin, your story, you must have heard, are there stories that stand out with fans from your experience on Guiding Light? Anything? I mean, I know you've met fans all along the way, and Caitlin, you just said somebody recognized you in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that a fan moment that?
I mean, I think Ashlee winning Coop, and sadly, that was kind of how it was pitched. I think that was what a triumphant moment, like when the swarthy girl gets the handsome bloke. I think that at least for me personally, I think that was the highlight, and it was so sad when we then weren't together. Then I had surgery. I don't like you anymore. I don't even remember how it dissolved. It was like it made no sense. In retrospect, unless I'm really forgetting something, which I might be doing. But yeah, I mean, how do you compete with like Michelle Ray Smith and like win out and like get the guy? And John Driscoll was, he's a lovely, person. That to me is what really stood out. I enjoyed it all, even when I didn't understand it. Like I said, I say the jokes. I come and I say them. Sometimes all right. Yeah, just say it.
So when this is over, what's the first thing you're looking forward to doing?
Like right now?
No, not the show. I mean, the pandemic. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I'll probably go to the bathroom. A lot of coffee. Zing.
We're all going to be singing now.
Yeah, we're all going to be eating a lot.
Drinking less, for sure.
Yeah. I look forward to, I mean, the thing is that I very much, I've always wanted to be a parent, and I had, and we struggled a little with fertility stuff, and I had 2 miscarriages. I'm really glad to be, first of all, I love my daughter, Penelope. She's the best one. So, I look forward to being a parent to her, and like in the outside world, like not like, yes, that same book we've already read 15 times. So I know that that's a little cliche to be like, I'm a mommy, but I'm excited to like take her to Disneyland and get in the pool and learn to swim and do things outside of the house. And yeah, I'm applying to nursing school, so we'll see. I hear that there's a shortage already, and then a lot of people have retired because they were about to anyway. A lot of nurses, which props to them. We have to be careful. So yeah, hopefully that will all just fall into place, and I'll be Nurse Caitlin. God help you all.
Anybody else looking forward to anything?
I look forward to like just going to do a thing, like
right, yeah,
like just
me too.
Anything.
Just like I'm gonna go do my day, which will have lots of things in it, where I'll see lots of people and do lots of things, and then we can all meet for dinner, instead of now, which is I'm living with 3 men in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom. There's so much negotiation going on. I'll just be happy the day I can just sort of walk out and go, I'll see you later. Like after I do my things. That's what I'd like. That and hugging people. Like, it's so weird to see people from a distance and say namaste, like it's just, I will look forward to the time when you can just be like, not afraid.
Not afraid is a good way of putting it. Not afraid is a good way of putting it. Jess, are you going to be going back to Venice, or when?
I mean, not anytime soon, I don't think. I usually just wait till I'm told where to go, where to be. Not much of a planner. I just want to have a summer. You know, it's my happy time. It's the time when I do everything. I hate cold weather. I look forward to this all year. I'm gonna have it.
Yeah, today's a beautiful day here, right?
It's been pretty nice. I just want, I feel bad for the children. They're just, they need to have a summer. They need to splash around and they need to be as close to normal as possible and get some air and sun in their face. And so we'll work on that and see what we can make happen.
I couldn't agree more. Well, I can't thank you all enough for doing this and spending the time with me. It's so good to see all of your faces.
It's so good to see you.
If I had planned better, I should have asked Murray to sing us out, because as I was doing research, Murray, I got to hear you sing from The Boy from Oz, which is my favorite soundtrack that I listen to all the time. But I couldn't. The full soundtrack of yours is not available. Like, I only got 30 seconds. So if you've got it, I'm asking for a favor because I love it.
Yes. Can we chant? Yes.
No. I mean, just send me the soundtrack. I didn't mean to say.
Oh, I want to hear it right now.
I didn't want to put pressure up.
I've got terrible allergies.
No, but you should all hear him sing Peter. What is it, Peter Allen's "I Honestly Love You," because it was 30 seconds of that. Pretty darn good. Did anybody? I mean, I didn't see Murray do it, but did anybody see The Boy from Oz?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I did. I was a theater kid, remember? Like, I think I saw it twice.
I mean,
but the Broadway production, not the one. Right, you only did it in Oz, right? I think we talked about this.
I did it in Australia, the original production, and then then they brought it to Broadway, and Hugh played Peter Allen. He didn't play it in the original in Australia, and then they did a tour back in Australia for 4 months, touring around Australia, which I did with Hugh as his boyfriend. Yeah,
Rough life.
Wow.
He was so brilliant in the show and such a extraordinarily generous person. It was amazing being in a show with him as the kind of the sun, and where all the kind of, the planets or whatever satellites in his orbit. He was just an incredible kind of ray of light. He's an amazing man. Such an amazing performer to watch every night, but also just like an incredibly generous person. I feel like he's the kind of person that wakes up in the morning and like figures out how he can be the best version of himself and then does it. It's like really just incredible. I've
rarely spent money twice to see a show on Broadway because it's pricey, but his performance was truly the most mesmerizing thing I have ever seen on stage, of one man command an entire audience in the palm of his hand. I mean, if it like that's a show that should be. Yeah, it really was astounding.
He's great on film, but he's on stage. He is, and especially when he's singing, he's just otherworldly. He's amazing, really, really amazing.
Yeah. Next time I'll prep Murray and ask him to sing. Thank you all. Stay well, stay healthy, stay backstage. I'll sign off and then we can chat.
Thank you, Ellen. This was such a treat.
I appreciate you all doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow, don't forget One Life to Live. Cassie and Jim DePaiva, Hillary Bailey Smith, Robert S. Woods, and Tuck Watkins. And Friday, All My Children, Vincent Irizarry, Jacob Young, and Walt Willey. Have a good day, everybody.